Scariest skeleton. On October 31st, everybody in Halloween Town was excited. Halloween night was the most important night of the year, and all afraid. Dead people came up from under the ground. Thirsty vampires happily drank a lot of blood. Ugly old witches changed some people into cats, and other people into little fishies. Everybody ran from the skeletons, from the sound of their long legs. Black cats jumped in and out of trash cans. Black birds flew through the dark sky with loud, high cries. And Jack Skellington sang his scary songs and danced his dangerous dances. People screamed, "Ha!" They were afraid, and they loved it.
At the end of the Halloween night, everybody went to the center of town. The mayor of Halloween Town stood in front of them and spoke. Tonight was the best Halloween party in many years, and the hard work of one man made it possible, he said. He turned to town's greatest skeleton. Jack, thank you. It was great, Jack, people shouted. We loved it. It was wild. Yes, the mayor said, we all enjoy Jack's scary songs and dangerous dances. Jack, you're the scariest skeleton in Halloween Town. Thank you for this wonderful celebration.
No problem, Jack said. But Jack wasn't happy. Every year, he repeated the same songs and the same dances, and he was bored with Halloween. Of course, he couldn't tell anybody. How could he? The people of the town loved him, and they waited all year for this night. When the mayor started talking about the scariest vampires and witches, Jack walked slowly away. Quietly, he wanted to think about his future. He walked out of town, past the churchyard, past Sally too, and then he said bye, but he didn't see Sally.
Sally was also sad. She watched Jack and she wanted to follow him, but she had to be careful. The doctor didn't like it when she left the house, and when she didn't listen to him, he got very angry. The doctor was very ugly. Old skeleton, he was not a nice man. After his accident walk, he made Sally from old clothes because he wanted a strong young woman in his house. Her clothes were not very pretty, but she had beautiful long red hair. The doctor could move around in his chair, but Sally had to cook for him. She cleaned for him, and she did everything in the house. Her life was boring, and she really wanted to run away. She tried to leave many times, but he always caught her. Why is Jack sad tonight? Sally thought. He's the most wonderful man in Halloween Town, and everybody loves him. She listened hard. She could hear Jack's words to his little white dog Zero. Zero came out from under the ground and flew behind Jack. He was dead, of course, so you could see through him, but he had a funny red nose and it shone in the dark.
I scare people every year, Zero, Jack Skellington said quietly to his dog. It's boring and I'm tired. I don't want to hear another scream. Why do I do it?
Oh, now I understand. He is bored, Sally thought sadly. He wants to change his life, and I want to change mine too. So she looked around the churchyard. I'll take some of those flowers, she thought. I'll put them in the doctor's drinks again tonight so he'll sleep. But this time, when he's sleeping, I'll run away. I'll find Jack and maybe he'll go with me. We'll be free. A sound came through the trees from a long way away. Sally, where are you? It was the doctor, and he was very angry. I'm coming, Sally shouted.
A door to a new world. Ooh, this will be an exciting chapter. So Jack walked through the churchyard and into the dark woods. His head was down and his eyes were to the ground. He walked for a long time and he thought about his future without much hope. After almost 2 hours, he stopped and he looked all around him, his eyes open wide. Where am I? What is this? He asked Zero, who was hiding.
Jack was in the middle of some very large trees, and each tree had a beautiful door in it. On the doors were strange pictures, and each door was different. One of the doors had a green tree with decorations on it. Of course, it was a Christmas tree, but Jack didn't know anything about Christmas. One door had a pretty egg with yellow flowers on it. It was the Easter door. But Jack knew nothing about Easter. The Thanksgiving Day door had a very, very big bird with a small head.
Jack liked the door with the green tree and pretty decorations, so he moved nearer. But before he could put his hand on the door, it opened. A strong, cold winter wind pulled him inside the tree, and the door closed quickly. He screamed, but only Zero heard. He's not hiding anymore, that Zero. And Zero couldn't help. Jack was alone. The little dog stayed under the tree and waited. Zero waited all night under the tree. The cold winter wind took Jack to a new and wonderful place. Here, everything was white and it was very cold. Jack knew nothing about snow, and he took some in his hand. Oh, snow! What is this, he thought. He made a ball and threw the ball of snow. And then he laughed happily. Oh, I love snow. He stood on top of the mountain and he looked down at a pretty little town. It was very different from Halloween Town. There were beautiful lights, and there were lots of houses and decorations on the trees. People moved happily across the ice and sang songs, wearing long, straight shoes. They laughed and sang. Nobody is afraid here, Jack thought. They aren't screaming, and no one is dead. Well, Jack felt very happy too. This is the prettiest place in the entire world, he thought. Then he looked up and he saw the name of this place above the street. CHRISTMASTOWN. Christmas Town? That's a funny place for a name. Or a funny name for a place too, he thought. But I'm going to like it here. Yes, I will. So he started to move down the mountain. He didn't know anything about snow or ice, of course. Oh, so when he started to walk, his feet flew. And out from under him, he moved on his bottom, straight down the mountain as fast as the river went. Hee! This is very funny, he thought. Maybe they are inviting me to Christmas Town. I hope they are. This place is great. At the bottom of the mountain, he sat for a minute and he looked at the beautiful world in front of him. And he thought, I feel happy and warm inside. Then he stood up, looked at the sky, and he laughed. Ha ha ha! I want to see everything here, he thought. I want to run, and I want to jump, and I want to sing, I want to dance. I'm not an old dead skeleton without feelings. I'm living again. But what happens in this place? I'm going to look around.
It was morning in Halloween Town, and the mayor stood outside Jack's house. He wanted to start making plans for next year's celebrations. There were only 364 days before Halloween, but Jack didn't open this door. The mayor shouted, "Jack, where are you?" There was no answer. There were some vampires in the street, so he asked them about Jack. "We'll try to find him for you, Mayor," they said. The vampires asked witches and skeletons around town, "Where's Jack? Do you know?" "We don't know, but we'll help you," they said. Later that day, everybody knew Jack was not in Halloween Town. But where was he? Nobody leaves Halloween Town. Jack's Christmas plans. On the night of December 24th, the night before Christmas, everybody in Christmas Town was very happy. Santa Claus came on this night every year with toys for good girls and boys. At 9 o'clock, most of the children were in their beds and the youngest were asleep. But a lot of older children couldn't sleep because they were very excited. So they closed their eyes and waited for the sound of Santa Claus's feet.
Jack Skellington walked around the town and looked through all the windows at the pretty houses. They were tiny little houses. He saw the children in their beds. Ooh. And he could see a Christmas tree in every house. Each tree had beautiful red and green decorations on it and very pretty lights, like Lady Greta has pretty lights behind her. He loved everything in this place. And suddenly he had a great idea, he did, Jack Skellington. I'm going back to Halloween Town, he thought. I've got a fantastic plan.
Sally was busy in her kitchen with the flowers for Doctor's drink. He'll sleep a long time after he drinks this, she thought. "Where's my drink?" the doctor shouted from another room. "It's almost ready," Sally shouted. She took it to him and watched carefully. He put his nose near the cup. "What did you put in my drink tonight?" he asked her. "I put some water, some milk, some sugar. You didn't put any flowers in it, I hope," said the old man. "You did that to me before, I remember. You wanted to run away. I remember that too. Flowers? You're funny," said Sally. "Drink it, then I'll bring you your dinner." I want you to drink some first," he said. "It's very hot, so I'll take a little on my spoon," she said. Sally took a spoon with holes in it from her skirt. She put the cup near her mouth and used the spoon. The drink fell through the holes and back into the cup. The old man's eyes were not very good, so he didn't see it. Very nice, said Sally. Now you drink it. She gave him the cup, and the doctor drank it. Then he fell asleep with his head on the table. Sally put a warm jacket over him, and she ran out the door. Bless her. It was late at night, but nobody in Halloween Town was asleep. They were very sad about Jack. Where was he? The witches didn't scream. The vampire children didn't want to play. Everything was quiet. The mayor was the saddest because he couldn't plan next Halloween without Jack. Suddenly, he heard a dog.
Woof, 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 woof.
Listen, is that Zero? Shouted the mayor.
Woof, woof. Then another sound, a very strange sound, came from behind the large doors in the wall around Halloween Town. And when the doors opened, Jack arrived in a big red sleigh. Woohoo! Yippee-ki-yay! Zero flew in behind him, slowly, and his big red nose lit the way. This sounds like Rudolph, but this is Halloween Town, so it was Zero. The witches, skeletons, and vampires jumped up and down and laughed. Yay!
Everybody shouted, Jack's back! Jack, where were you? Asked the mayor.
I'll tell you, I will tell everybody, Jack said loudly. I want everybody in town to come here in 2 hours.
Sally was in the woods when she heard about Jack from one of the witches. She wanted to listen to Jack, so she went back into town. The doctor's asleep, so I have time, she thought.
In the center of town, Jack stood on a box in front of the witches, the skeletons, and the vampires. A lot of small, little, tiny black animals flew around excitedly. I think they're bats. I want to tell you all about a wonderful place, and it's called Christmas Town, Jack said.
Christmas Town? What's that? Some witches asked.
It's a world of wonderful white snow. It's a beautiful place, a happy place. Look at this. And everybody's eyes opened wide when he showed them a Christmas tree. And look at this, he shouted. It's a present. He took a box with pretty paper from under the tree and showed them.
What is it? An ugly old vampire asked. He had a very white face, very black hair, and very red mouth.
It is a present, and a present is a box with pretty paper, and inside, Jack said slowly.
What's inside? Called the witch.
We don't know, Jack answered.
Don't know? Why not? The people of Halloween Town didn't understand.
Just a minute. Oh! Jack quickly took off the paper and opened the box. Inside, there's a toy, a spieli, said Jack, and he showed them a child's toy. Look, it's got lights. Oh, a toy.
A boy? That is strange, said one of the skeletons.
It's not a boy. It's a toy. Boys have
toys
red eyes.
Toys scare little boys? Asked an ugly old witch.
Jack thought, they'll never, ever, ever understand Christmas. Then he had a good idea. Maybe they will understand this. He looked at each and every one of them very, very carefully, and he spoke quietly and slowly. There's a very old man in Christmas Town, Jack said. He's big and he's round with long white hair. His clothes are red and he flies through the night sky in a big red sleigh. He shouts loudly, Merry Christmas, and he laughs, ho, 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 ho. And they call him Santa Claus or Santa Claus. He puts presents under the Christmas trees inside every house. When the children wake up in the morning, they find them and they open them.
Everybody was excited when Jack finished his story. They were a little scared too, and that was good.
Jack left and went home. How can I tell them about Christmas, he thought. I have to find a better way. First, I have to understand all about Christmas. Later that night in his bed, Jack looked in a lot of books. He read Christmas stories and he found Christmas songs. But what were they really about? Maybe the doctor. Maybe the doctor can help me, Jack thought. Maybe his chemicals or Sally's flowers will teach me more about toys and decorations and Christmas trees. I'll go to his house and discuss everything with him in the morning.